Before he became the Prince of Darkness, he was just a lost kid from Birmingham, stealing shirts and serving jail time until fate handed him a mic and changed music forever. For many, Ozzy Osbourne's name conjures image of headbanging anthem, outre-ajustage stunts, and pure rock and roll. Yet his story began with something far more mundane and fraught: stealing shirts. In his memoir I Am Ozzy, he admits that he shoplifted from a clothing store in his native Birmingham, and was soon arrested and sent to Winson Green Prison, a fortress-like century-old jail. Those 6 brutal weeks behind bars didn't break him, they pivoted him. Inside those cell walls, Ozzy realized crime was a dead end. He vowed to remake himself entirely. That 6-week sentence became a harsh but impactful lesson. The stolen shirts may have been small, but the consequences were enormous. Ozzy left jail determined never to repeat it. He took whatever work he could find: auto parts factories, slaughterhouses, labors far removed from rock's glamour. Yet a spark remained: the Beatles. Their melodies awakened in him a wild ambition. Ozzy wanted to rock. Untrained and talentless at first, he made a symbolic shift. He grew his hair long, inked tattoos, and adopted the look of a musician even before he could play a note. His childhood in Aston, Birmingham, a post-war blue-collar neighborhood, shaped his defiance. He dropped out at 15, faced relentless bullying, and even battled suicidal despair. Formal education ended early. But out of angst emerged resolve. Ozzy didn't just want escape, he wanted rebellion. While others dreamed of stability, he dreamed of noise. Music was a long shot, but a necessity. It offered a way out of the shadows into something bigger. His fashion sense mirrored his background. Unlike the tie-dyed hippies of the era, Ozzy embraced darkness: capes, heavy boots, and tattoos, often going barefoot even in winter. He once wore a worn-out pajama shirt and a hot water tap on string as a necklace. When people asked where he got his style, he replied, "By being a dirty broke bastard who never bathed." It was raw and unapologetic, just like his music would become. Black Sabbath wasn't just a band, it was collective expression. He joined forces with Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward, all from the same gritty Aston neighborhood. Their sound, dark, slow, uncompromising, delivered a powerful punch. Early tracks like War Pigs and Paranoid weren't just songs. They became symbols of working-class anger and existential dread. Their aesthetic was grounded in reality, not fantasy, a sharp break from mainstream optimism. One of Ozzy's most enduring accessories was a simple metal cross made by his father, a toolmaker, as a gift. It started as a personal charm and became a heavy metal emblem. Worn on stage for decades, the cross symbolized Ozzy's roots, faith, labor, and resilience. It wasn't blasphemy, it was homage to where he came from and what he fought against. On stage, Ozzy played horror with a knowing wink. Sabbath used gothic visuals and dark theatrics to provoke, but it was satire, not ritual. Notably, actual Satanists once invited them to perform at Stonehenge. Black Sabbath turned it down. They weren't devil worshippers, they were entertainers playing roles. Ozzy's act was often absurd, terrifying lyrics delivered with playful charisma. Les Maîtres d'Arkness digestible. Critics called Black Sabbath primitive, unmusical, or buffoonish, but that only fueled their rise. Teenagers embraced them as a form of rebellion. Sabbath became a subcultural phenomenon. Their music and look, aesthetic blackness, long hair, thick riffs, spread from the Midlands to America's Rust Belt. Ozzy and his band didn't start metal, but they defined it. By 1979, internal turmoil exploded. Ozzy's substance abuse spiraled. He missed rehearsal, slurred his singing, and became unpredictable. Black Sabbath fired him. He spent months locked in a hotel room, drinking and detaching from reality. The band that built him had thrown him out. Most thought his career was over. But fate had another chapter waiting. Ante Sharon Arden, docteur of musique managée dans Arden. She rescued Ozzy from obscurity. Despite his chaos, she saw his potential. Married him and began managing him under a new brand, Ozzy the Solo Artist. She hired lead guitarist Randy Rhoads, revamped his image into gothic yet theatrical flair, thin-tinted glasses, leather, dark eyeliner, and helped launch Blizzard of Oz, which bankrupted washed-up ex-vocalist labels in one blow. Ozzy's persona reached peak absurdity in 1982 during a concert in which he bit the head off a live bat, mistaking it for a rubber prop. The media erupted. The incident cemented his title, Prince of Darkness. But Ozzy laughed along. He played the role with over-the-top flair. What looked grotesque was part spectacle. He performed the myth. The more outrage followed, tossing chickens into crowds, making lewd displays for record executives, allegedly haunting numerous animals in a drug-fueled haze. He clashed with spouses, defamed towns. Accused of indecency, Ozzy embodied chaos. Yet even as some begged his career to end, crowds continued to flock. His self-destructive behavior became part of the legend. Despite chaos, he endured. Rehab stayed him in 1989. Sharon remained his anchor. Fans rallied around his survival, seeing Ozzy as a symbol of endurance. By the 1990s, his flaws were not liabilities. They were badges of authenticity. He was the rock star misfit who always returned. Then came The Osbournes, a reality show that shifted his image again. Viewers saw him at home, fumbling with TV remotes, mumbling in fatherly confusion, swearing in a frustration-filled domestic haze. The fearsome Prince of Darkness became someone relatable and oddly funny. He earned a new fan base. His outsider persona, it remained, but with humor. In early July 2025, Black Sabbath reunited for Back to the Beginning in Birmingham. Although Ozzy's voice trembled, his presence remained magnetic. The show raised millions for Parkinson's research. 2 weeks later, he passed away peacefully at age 76, surrounded by loved ones. Tribute poured from Elton John to Billie Joe Armstrong. He wasn't just a metal hero, he was a global cultural force. In July 2025, his final memoir, Last Rites, was announced. The book, due in October, is a candid reflection on disease, loss, mortality, and flickers of early fame. He wrote, "If my life ended now, I'd regret nothing. The highs and lows, they made me who I am." Pre-orders soared. It already topped bestseller lists. A fitting farewell from an unpredictable life. Survival was Ozzy's legacy. Even after Parkinson's, multiple surgeries, and serious injuries, including a broken neck, he declared, "I'm not ready to go anywhere." He performed when doctors said he had no voice. Through frailty and pain, his public optimism stayed intact. He embodied durability in a mortal shell. The world responded. Fellow musicians and celebrities paid tribute. Elton John, Youngblood, Jason Momoa, and others shared stories of how Ozzy defined their lives. He transcended metal. He became a myth that coexisted with mainstream pain and offbeat humor. His influence cut across genres, generations, continents. What does it mean today? Ozzy demonstrated you don't need perfection to create lasting impact. People saw his mistakes, but they also saw self-awareness, tenacity, and unvarnished honesty. He taught that cultural movements can arise from personal chaos as long as the story is authentic. He embodied that turmoil can birth beauty. From stolen shirts to global stages, Ozzy Osbourne showed that destiny isn't fixed by records or missteps, but by resilience, reinvention, and resolve. So was Ozzy proof that a troubled past doesn't prevent a brilliant future? Or did the spectacle overshadow the art? Share your thoughts in the comments. This legacy lives as long as people choose to remember. He may be gone, but Ozzy Osbourne didn't just leave behind music. He left a legend carved in black leather, screaming through the void, daring us all to embrace our madness. So tell us, was Ozzy the last great rock rebel, or something even more timeless? Let us know in the comments below.